Well, hi everybody. So here we are again. This is our first rehearsal for Voices of Hope of the 21-22 season. In addition, I'm going to speak a little bit periodically about other groups that some of you might be in or have questions about. So when you receive this in your email and you're not in Voices of Hope, you'll know that it might still pertain to you if you do brothers or sisters or even the Southside Chorale. So, my pleasure to welcome you back. We had quite an interesting season last year, and it's been a bit of a time since I've actually met with the choir in this capacity, so I'm glad to be here. You'll notice that we have masks on, and at this point in time, that is from the top down as far as representing the church is concerned. In truth, aside from the safety issues and whether or not you agree or disagree, I'm not trying to have an argument about it. It's a liability issue as much as anything. Because when you're here as a volunteer in worship, in close proximity with others, in effect, you're representing the church. And it's really important that we keep aware of that. So just know that whatever you choose to do in your own time and how you choose to practice safety or what otherwise is fine. And I love you all no matter what, so it's not a debate that I'm interested in having, but it is a rule that I do need to enforce, so keep that in mind. Because of that, I do understand that some folks have chosen to delay their return, and I completely respect that. So if that's in effect the intent of somebody who might be here or might be watching this, all I would ask is that you communicate that with me, because it helps us to know, A, your motivation, and B, it also lets us know that you're okay, because in some cases when we haven't heard from people for a good while, we want to make sure you're all right, because on occasion you're not, and it's a good thing we asked. So anyway, that's the case. So, over time, if you've been here, you may look around and notice some people that are missing, and, feel free to call people. Feel free to check up. Feel free to say, hey, I just wanted you to know I miss you. I wasn't sure where things were going with you these days. That's not a pastor's job. That's not the council's job. That's us as the community of Christ. So as far as creating that community and being that for one another, don't hesitate to reach out. People can always say, no, we're fine, thanks for calling, but we're busy. Click, okay, fine. But most of the time, they're going to appreciate that you made the effort. So let's talk about this season. I'm a planner, all right? Those of you who have known me over the past however many years I've been here now have seen that take effect more and more to accomplish whatever it is that we're trying to do here with the department, underneath all the expectations of the community and everything as we've continued to grow. So planning is my thing. Planning is something that I believe God gave me as a gift to develop here so that we can keep organized, so that I can respect your time, and so that we can work together and be loyal to one another, and then take pleasure in when things go well as a team. But my plans pretty much went to garbage last year. And garbage is a nice word. That's a biblical word for something else that I didn't want to translate into the vernacular. And I was thinking about that tonight, because I've created a plan, and for those of you that don't know, I have already chosen the anthems starting the first week after Labor Day, pretty much all the way through Pentecost this year. We are much further ahead with that than we would normally be, in part because the job is changing, but also I start a master's degree tomorrow, so I need some extra free time. So that said, I'm letting you know that I have a very specific plan this year as well to try to execute what I hope will be a very effective season of anthems from the music department, et cetera, et cetera. But then I had to remember on my way over here tonight, coming from dinner, Jeremiah 29:11. This is God. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Then you will call on me and come and pray to me, and I will listen to you. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart. I will be found by you, declares the Lord, and will bring you back from captivity, even if it's the captivity of your home. I will gather you from all the nations and places where I have banished you, declares the Lord, and I will bring you back to the place from which I carried you into exile. Now, granted, he's talking to the Israelites at this point. they're upset because they got carried away and had all these evil people come and take their stuff, and they ruin their whole culture and everything. And after he tells them, it's all right, make a house where you are, do your family where you are, do life the best you can, even though you're unseated and not where you feel like you belong, because I know the plans I have for you to prosper you, to not harm you. And I think that in a lot of ways we feel unseated. We feel unsettled. We're desperate to try to return to what we've defined as normal. We thought we were moving in that direction. Now some things have kind of taken a hard left, and we're not sure if we're moving in that direction anymore. Many of you have made plans like I have. But in the end, I have to remind myself that it's really not, in the end, about my plans. Okay? What we're here to do is execute what we do through the arts on behalf of God's plan. And if that changes, so be it. And I have to be okay with that, because to get upset and shake my fist at the heavens and say, why this, why, like I'm some kind of a victim because everything that I worked hard for is now changed, whatever, okay? In the grand scheme of things, it's not that big of a deal. As hard as I have worked so that I know that if things go the continuing way that I hope they do, boom, we're running. But I also know it's possible they could change, and everything I put over here now has to go this direction instead. So we'll just have to be willing to be flexible. Can you agree with that? We'll be flexible as best we can. I will produce schedules for you as I have time so that you know what to expect, when we're going to be doing certain things. And hopefully we'll be able to stay on schedule, but we might not. And if we can't, then we'll have a different plan and we'll figure it out. And we'll do what we can to stay on top of it, and I'll keep you as informed as I can as soon as possible. And sometimes that'll be way in advance, and sometimes it might be last minute, and I'm sorry because I'm doing the best I can. But I just wanted you to know that before we go forward, because there's sometimes it sounds very definitive and specific when I start talking about what we're going to do, and you go, yeah, let's do that. And then something happens and it doesn't, and it's not going off the way that we thought it was going to, and then it's like, Ken, you said it was going to be like this. Why isn't it like this? Well, because I'm not in charge. That's why. Okay? And I don't mean that's because Mark's in charge. Mark's in charge of some stuff. The council's in charge of some stuff. But in the end, we're all subservient to whatever God wants to do. So we just have to be flexible. That's all I'm saying. Okay? So Voices of Hope. Those of you that have been in this group before know that in the past we had 3 services at Central Campus on Sunday, and generally we would sing 2 out of those 3. The second of which, if you sung the first, you would be allowed to get up and leave after the anthem, in part because the anthem was early in the service. Everybody remembers that, okay? That's gone away, all right? So what are we doing now? Well, first of all, for those of you that didn't know, we only have 2 services on Sunday. We don't have 3, and it's not likely that we will anytime soon because the church has shrunk. Let's just be honest. There aren't as many people coming here on a regular basis as used to. We'd love to grow back to the point where we were at one point, and maybe we will, but right now it's not likely in the immediate future, so there's really no need logistically to add a 3rd service on Sunday, at least as far as on a regular, typical week. So you need to understand first that I have not only this ensemble that is normally going to be singing on a weekly basis, but I have 3 other ensembles associated with the traditional services here at Central that also would like an opportunity to do an anthem periodically as well. In the past, those groups rotated on a once-a-month basis, and they will continue to do that. That is the Brothers, Sisters, and the Spirit Ringers. Okay? So, in the past, those groups would be a part of the 11:30 service, I think, at the time, and they would do one of those services in a given month. For the time being, the first service will be the one that those groups rotate through. So, if you're in Brotherhood of Harmony, we will begin our first anthem in October, singing on one Sunday a month at the 8 o'clock service. And then after that, Sisters, and after that, Spirit Ringers. Okay, so that schedule will come out, and you'll understand that we're learning less music with those groups in general. Sometimes it's because it's a little more complicated because the groups are smaller, but the idea is that one Sunday a month at the early service is where those groups are going to perform. Everybody clear on that? Okay, so Voices of Hope is going to get the second of the 2 services, which currently is at 10 o'clock. And what we ask, as we always have, is that you commit to sitting through one service on a weekend. So if you are worshiping here, if you are leading the congregation, we ask that you commit to whichever service you prefer on that given week and sit through that entire thing. So now you won't have the option to stay through a second one on behalf of Voices of Hope and get up halfway. Now, that's because not only are we not singing to, but it's also because the anthem spot is in a different place now than it used to be. So those of you that remember when the anthem was early in the service, that is no longer the case. Our service structure has kind of done this over the past 18 months, and you'll still see a lot that you recognize. Some things might feel like they're in different spots, and even things that you've become accustomed to, like the liturgy music, is going to ebb and flow. So for instance, our next setting in September, there's not going to be a Kyrie or Canticle of Praise for a little while, okay? So those kinds of things are going to change. But the anthem that we sing at this point in time will always be following the sermon. So I can't have you walk in during the sermon to sing the anthem and come for half the service, but the second half rather than the first. So basically, I need you all to be sitting here, leading the congregation on the hymns and the liturgy and stuff, sit through the sermon, sing the anthem, and by then it's like 10 more minutes till communion's over, okay? So that is our usual Voices of Hope routine at this campus. Now, just to be clear, because you now have seen that we are firmly entrenched in 3-campus mindset, one church, 3 campuses. So, at one point I was hoping it was going to be like we'd have me here, Dennis North, Mary Jo South, and we each kind of hold our own in our own separate little thing, and we just kind of come together and keep it all together. That worked to a degree, but some of what we are finding is going to require us to move and be a little more malleable, in some ways kind of like the pastors have been. So I will always try to be in front of this ensemble at the second service of Sunday every week, okay? I will always try to be in front of the monthly ensembles at the first service here at this campus. But then, once a month, there will also be a new ensemble associated with the South Campus that will sing at 8 o'clock during a week that I'm not here doing brothers, sisters, or ringers. So you figure there's usually about 4 Sundays a month, so there they are, they're covered. So one Sunday a month, I will be down at Everglades leading the South Site Chorale, because we got to have an acronym, and it has to be S's, and it has to confuse people. So the South Site Chorale will start a rehearsal schedule, and we'll sing periodically, but not as frequently, down at that campus. Some of you who answered the questionnaire know that I asked the question of, would you be interested in periodically being a part of this group, not to leave Central, but to seed the core group of something that we could eventually send down there to become associated wholly with that group, with that campus. But if you want to do that occasionally without, having any issues, you'd be willing to do that. Some of you said yes, some of you said no. That's fine. I'm not making a judgment on who should or shouldn't do that. I want you to know, though, that in the same way that you can be in this group and also be in Brotherhood of Harmony, you could be in this group and be in the Southside Chorale. And many of you I have started seeing over the summers and even last year at different campuses throughout a given month. So I know that many of you are floating anyway for whatever reason, and I think that's great. I can't tell you how much I have seen the willingness to accept this grander idea of church, its definition, and getting out of our comfort zone more than from the group of people that I know well from the music department. You guys always seem to lead the way as far as that goes. So when they're trying to get people to accept a change or something that's different or more difficult maybe for some folks, it always seems like, yeah, we got this, and then suddenly I'm seeing people I know somewhere else, okay? So if that suits you and you want to be a part of that group, I will make that available to you down the line. Will it impact what we do here? No, because it's on a different day of the week. And if you can't make rehearsals, that's fine. You don't have to come. It's all right with me. But if you want to come when those rehearsals are, I'll let you know when they are and you can participate. You also can do some, but not all. Just like the summer session singers, I had a policy of letting people come and go as they were able because people are on vacation and whatnot. You may find that when the group that sings in the South is at 8 o'clock, it suits you and you want to do that. But that same group is going to sing within that same month one time also at the 10 o'clock service. And it will be the same piece of music. So we learn one piece of music and we sing it 2 different services within the given month. Once at 8, once at 10. So there's a lot less to do within that group. Less expectations, less difficulty of music. But if you want to be a part of that, I want you to know it's okay. And if you want to sing down there when they do their month at 10 and miss Voices of Hope, that's okay too. So you might be asking me, how are you going to be down there to lead the group at 10 when you said you'd be up here? Well, because my plan is that on the weeks when they're singing at the 10 down there, Dennis leads that group then. So the group will be co-led by myself and Dennis Keenitz. It's not just going to be me only. So you'll get different flavors. You'll have one of us running one rehearsal and somebody running the other one. So that's the idea behind how that's going to go. And we'll just see how it goes. But keep in mind, there are people that have joined this church who only go to Everglades who want to sing. They want to be a part of something, okay? So what better way to make them feel comfortable than going down there when it's no skin off your nose, get a little chance extra to sing an anthem now and then, create a community, and then have these new people come in and feel like they're a part of something that's already good, because that's what Hope is. And then you guys can still come back up here and do your thing the way you normally used to, while those people can continue to attend down there the way they are looking to. So that's the idea behind that, okay? The group times for rehearsals, in case you hadn't heard, I'm still waiting to see if somebody shows up tonight at 7. But Voices of Hope is earlier this year, 6 to 7:30 on Thursday nights. So you still have your Thursday night, but if you're in Brotherhood, you have to come from 3:30 to 4:20 now. So we're going to end Brotherhood at the end of the business day, give you an hour and 40 minutes to go get some dinner, and then come back at 6 if you're in both groups. And then we're done by 7:30. So those of you that don't want to be out as late, driving in the dark, you can get home sooner, okay? And we can still get just as much time rehearsing. Also, 3:30 to 4:20, you need to memorize that, because if you have any questions for me about when does this group rehearsal? Well, aside from this one, which is the only one different, every other group that we've discussed that will be rehearsing here is on one day of the week at 3:30 to 4:20. So eventually, when we have the Southside Chorale doing something, even if it's not weekly, it will be Mondays from 3:30 to 4:20. So if you sung with us at all in the summer, or you sung in the Pentecost choir, 3:30, Mondays, that's kind of like reserved, all right? Yeah. Tuesdays is the Sisters in Song, 3:30 to 4:20. Wednesdays is the Spirit Ringers, our handbell group, 3:30 to 4:20. And Thursdays, Brotherhood, 3:30 to 4:20. And then this group comes back at 6. So that's how our rehearsal schedule has changed this season. And it's all to try to accommodate this growth, to try to create something that's a little more of a structure, to be aware that there's other things moving and changing around the church beyond just music department, and also to keep your director from going crazy as his children get older and require more of his time. So, all of that said, those are the fundamental things that we have in place. Beyond that, I have a cantata planned like normal. We'll do Thanksgiving Eve with an anthem like we normally would. Christmas Eve like we normally would. Planning for Tenebrae, all that other stuff. So, at this point in time, given what I've said, if anybody has any specific questions, I'd be more than happy to take them and say them again so that the computer can hear them, and in case they can't hear, so that folks at home watching this can know what you said. Does anybody need anything answered or have any questions about anything that's upcoming? Y'all going to wait till the end when I want to leave, and then you're going to ask me 20. Go ahead, Gary.
If we want to sing at the South Side, will the music be the same? In other words, for song we sing here?
Good question. Generally speaking, the material for Voices of Hope will always be specific to this group only. Partly because we have a larger ensemble, we have a breadth of ability here, so we can do more of a diversity and we could do more complex stuff. The South Side Choir, or chorale, I'm going to use the word blended, so forgive me if that's a bad word to you, those of you from church settings. But the idea is that we learn an anthem that would be suitable to sing in a traditional service, but also in a contemporary service, without having to change it. So the material we're going to draw from is going to be actually similar to one of the pieces we rehearsed tonight. It's a medley of older praise and worship songs that I put together, and you'll see what I mean. That's the kind of stuff that I intend to do with that group. It's also generally easier to learn with less parts and more repetition, but it still is suitable for a traditional worship service, just like some of the kinds of stuff we do here that might be, Southern gospel or whatever. It doesn't have to be so specifically in the genre of like everything translated from German. You know what I'm saying? So from that standpoint, I'm trying to gear the song choices for the South Choir in particular to be easier and a little bit more malleable so they can be used at both types of services. Does that make sense? Now, I'm not speaking specifically about the Lake Weir group simply because Dennis has a program that he's going to re-implement when he comes back to have that group sing up there for anthems, and also a chimes group up there. Now, I want you to know something. There have been some people who, as we have expanded with this idea of one church, 3 campuses, have found their way to different campuses and have felt like that one's more at home for them than this. And my answer is, go with God, because we're not in competition with them anyway. And if somebody feels like they're more at home, more comfortable, or they can be more involved in a ministry at South or Lake Weir, it is totally fine with me, because we're all trying to do the same thing anyway. So you may not see some people here who actually are singing up at Lake Weir now. But I can tell you that Dennis's program, as it was before, was not on a week-to-week basis like Voices of Hope. There were weeks where he was not singing anthems, which allows for that flexibility for him to leave sometimes and go south instead. So all told, if you wanted to be a part of Voices of Hope but then still go up to the Lake Weir group, I'm not saying it's impossible, but it would be a little bit more difficult just because his program's a little bit more detailed and specific than what I'm discussing for the South Campus. All right? But options are open. Yeah, Sid.
To piggyback off of Gary's question, if we can't make practice on Monday night because of conflicts, would the practice we have on Wednesday night or Thursday nights prepare us for singing with everybody's group?
Okay, good question. If you couldn't make the rehearsal for the one group, would it... Oh, it looked like my video paused. Oh, no.
Start over.
Just a second. Well, it kind of seems like it's still filming, but I'm just frozen. So anyway, we'll do it anyway. So the answer, I guess, theoretically is no. It would not prepare you to only come Thursday, because if you missed Monday, Monday is specific to what they're doing at South, and what we rehearse on Thursday here will not overlap, and it won't be the same material. So it's not going to be the same stuff as far as that goes. But at the same time, you might miss a rehearsal for this, occasionally for the Monday group, but still be able to sing the same piece in 2 weeks when they sing at a different service. And if you can't always be there, there's still a possibility that it could work out. In some cases, the music's not that difficult. I don't want to set a precedent that says you never need to come to rehearsal and you can always just show up and sing the anthem. But you all know as well as I that if we're doing familiar material and we've worked on it for 4 or 6 weeks in a row, you can miss one if you need to and still come back and be okay. All right? Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
When we came, the doors by the covered walkway were locked. Are we all supposed to enter from over on the fairway side?
All I can say, Carol, is that I tried to remind the powers that be that this was starting tonight so the doors would be unlocked. And I thought when I did that it sounded like they would be, and they weren't, so I don't know. In general, it's not the first time, though, it's happened, and if worst case scenario, I'll try to be better about propping that door with an umbrella, too, which is basically what I did for the other one, so that no matter which one you come in, you can get in the church. So it's not great for security, but sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. So, and by the way, Carol Knaple's back. She's been. Yay. All right. So, and I hope, as you often have in the past, if we do start to see some new faces here that haven't been with us for a while or maybe ever, please make them feel welcome so that, people know that it's not an exclusive club, because y'all ain't that good looking. All right? No offense. All right, what else? Who likes to sing with a mask on? Sucks. I hate it. I have to keep my beard at a totally different length now and shave more regularly just to keep from itching and sweating as much. What?
Shaving is good.
Well, anyway, nonetheless, if you find yourself showing up and forgetting yours, or your strap breaks last minute or whatever, I will always have some in the robe room or the bell table room. And I try to get the KN95s like these because they're supposedly the safest ones. I don't care what you wear as long as you have it on, because if you don't, I have to enforce it, and then you turn me into the bad guy. And I hate being the bad guy. So I will always have them there for you if you need one. And most of the time, especially now if we're going to be doing this ongoing, aesthetically I could care less. You can all be in different colors. It doesn't matter to me. If you really want a white one, they'll be in there. And sometimes I have black, but otherwise I don't care. Now, one thing that I failed to mention that I am beholden to let you know about, okay? Just like the masks, and just like whether or not you like or dislike this whole process, you may like or dislike these, okay? I am not making a statement about how I personally feel about this, but I am telling you I have been asked to enforce the use of these if possible. What that means is, if you have received a card with not my son's name on it, but your own name, with a little barcode, okay, then that is how we do attendance, okay? When you show up to church, before choir, they want to know that you're here because numbers count, numbers go into effect different things. So we'd like to get as accurate a count as possible. So getting that scanned wherever the scanner is a good start, all right? If you come to the rehearsal and go, oh, I forgot to scan it, they put one on my phone. So I can do that, but I don't want to have to take up half of the rehearsal doing it for 50 people. So try to get in that habit when you come in the church, especially if you come in that way. Stop by the kiosk and do your deal or whatever, but it's fine. I realize it's an imperfect system. Half the time, mine stays in my car and I forget about it on my dash. But nonetheless, we need to try to do that better. So I will have my phone, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm sure they'll call you eventually. All right? Right, Dennis? So everybody who calls this their church home is supposed to have a little card with their name and barcode on it. It is in place of the old pew pad. Everybody remembers the pew pads from the builder generation? Oh, we remember the pew pads, right? We could go down and gossip about who's sitting 3 seats down, and I can't believe they're sleeping with that person, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we're not doing that anymore. Pew pads, they spread germs. So we're all high tech now. So now we just scan the barcode. All right? Anyway, anything else? Any other questions before we can move on from logistics? Does everybody know where they are? No, I don't know. Are they out in the narthex?
Yes.
Okay, that direction. All right, there we go. Anything else? No? Nothing for me? Good. Let's move on. I'm going to turn this off. Thank you all for watching.